All right. Welcome to another episode of The Close Up. I'm your host, Stephen Cameron, a part of the Orlando Magic HQ network, where you can find all things Orlando Magic on all of your favorite social platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you want. Go find us. Like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and give us a rating if you are on a podcast platform. This is part 2 with Bryce Simons of the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vincini, also Pistons Pulse podcast. Part 1 was all about how the Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic, both up-and-coming teams in the Eastern Conference, are expected to be pretty dominant players this year in the Eastern Conference. We have a really good breakdown of both of those teams and how their rebuilds were kind of similar in certain ways, and some of the questions that each team still has. Obviously, the Magic are kind of a little bit ahead on their rebuild path, but the Pistons are doing a pretty good job making up for that ground. It's a really good conversation with Bryce there. So if you haven't heard that, go back to the last episode. It was released earlier this week, and check it out. This episode is all about the younger players. Jace Richardson, pick 25 in the first round for the Orlando Magic. Noah Penda, pick 32 for the Orlando Magic in the second round. We are very excited about these players. Bryce, again, he is a draft mastermind. He does a very, very good job talking about these players. He's even got a great breakdown, a film breakdown on Noah Penda on his Substack. So make sure to go check that out. Make sure to check out his podcast with Sam Vincini, the Game Theory podcast. Honestly, it's one of the best ones out there. And I hope you enjoy this conversation. Before we get into the conversation, let's do some housekeeping. We already mentioned, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to this, but also check out our Patreon program. We have a really good Patreon program where there's a lot of good benefits, and the little bit of financial support that it costs to get those benefits really helps Orlando Magic HQ continue to do cool things like do giveaways, and have extra content for you all. So check that out. The other thing we want to mention is Believe Podcast Network. We're super psyched. We've been partnered with them for a few seasons now. And, one thing that we're psyched on is the news partnership that they just got us with FanDuel. FanDuel is such a good spot to place your sports bets if you are into sports betting like I am. I like to dabble responsibly a little bit each year. Fantasy football, or football is starting to come up. I play fantasy football, but I also like doing some bets during the football season. It's also basketball season. So, coming up in a few months, I love doing sports bets during basketball season. You'll definitely hear me talk a lot about that then. But, something you can do right now, even though it's not basketball season, you can still bet on the upcoming basketball season on FanDuel. It's super safe, super secure to place bets there. Right now, the one that I like a lot is plus 1,700 on the Orlando Magic to win the NBA Finals. Now, let's be real. The Magic haven't gotten out of the first round yet, but they just made some really big trades. They traded for Desmond Bane. They acquired Tyus Jones for the second unit. Both of those guys are three-point snipers and should really be helping this Magic's team. You just heard Bryce Simon and I talk in the very first episode all about how high we are in this Magic team and how they could be a top 3 seed in the East and be a really big disruptor in this year's playoffs. So I feel like that's a pretty good bet to put a little bit of money on. Throw $10 on there. Check it out. It's a fun one. So I'm psyched on that one. You can do all sorts of current live day bets. You can do future bets. You can do prop bets all at FanDuel. Check out FanDuel.com. And with that being said, let's get to part 2 of my conversation with Bryce Simons. All right, Bryce, we are already at the 40-minute mark, and I said we'd be done around 40 minutes. So we'll take just a few more minutes of your time if that's okay. You are the master at this. This is, like I said at the beginning, I come to you and your outlets for draft analysts and reviews. You watch Summer League. You are at Summer League. Let's talk Noah Penda, and let's talk Jace Richardson. The Magic selected Jace Richardson at 25, son of Josh Richardson for the Orlando Magic way back in the day. Offensive guard, really good shooter. He's got some point guard skills in him. It sounds like he's a pesky defender, high IQ there, but he's short. I'm a guy who's always going to have a little bit of trouble trusting a smaller guard. Why should I not worry about Jace?
I mean, I think that's fair with what you're at there. So I'm not going to talk you out of some of those. I'll give you my quick summer league notes from watching the Magic. He is small. You can see how someone physical at the point of attack, getting up in him could be an issue. I think this was from the Raptors game when Jamal shed, and that Raptors team just played a crazy style for summer league. The jumper, he shot the ball really well at summer league, and so saw that from him. Ball mover. That's one thing I do like about him. So we talked about that with this Orlando team. He had back-to-back possessions in that game where he made the one more pass to Da Silva for 3-point makes. He consistently makes the right and quick decisions. I think I was a little more intrigued by his defense than maybe some in the pre-draft. In that game, you saw him having a little bit of trouble navigating ball screens. That has a little bit of the size component to it. And then I think he is an on and off the ball player. I think I would call Jace more of a combo, I guess.
Sure.
I don't think he's a true on ball guy. I don't know that he's just want to play him solely off the ball, because he does have some on ball like creation, nuance, finesse in his game. So I'm interested. I did not mind that draft pick with where he was at all. That is definitely the tier and the range for me. Guys that went behind him, I think the biggest thing would have been if just like archetype, right? I mean, I could make an argument for, Liam McNeely, who I think lasted way too long in the draft, or somebody like that. But adding that guard to the room there, I was perfectly fine with that with Jace Richardson.
I think it's nice that they doubled down on trying to address shooting, right?
Sure.
Because he's obviously a very good shooter, and that should translate. I question like the looking after another combo guard, because this team just has so many combo guards,
Sure.
right? The only true point guard on this team is Tyus Jones, and he's on a 1-year contract. But at the same point, like if you think about what players left and what players came in, they lost a combo guard in Cole Anthony. They're bringing in Jase, who is similar size, similar
Sure.
types of players, can do some on-ball stuff, can be threats off-ball as well. Cole just, his flaw was he just was not consistent, right? There were plenty of games, he'd have a month of being offensively very consistent and not necessarily a good defender, but, tried on that end at least.
Lots of energy. Yep.
Which energy doesn't always translate to good
Correct.
to good things on the side. Like I hate when people use that as an excuse for bad defenders. Like he still was a bad defender, like in high level games, and bad by like you could target him and it could be a liability. But his calling card was more as what he could bring offensively, and it just was like very inconsistent. 1 month good, 6 weeks bad. 1 month good, 4 weeks bad, right? And that's kind of how it went for his entire tenure as a Magic player. If Jace can be just consistently like solid and kind of just maintain what Cole couldn't, like I think that's a win with that selection at pick 25.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a rotation player at 25, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
And I don't, we talked about this with Anthony Black. If we were evaluating Anthony Black as this team's starting in the backcourt starting, it would be judged a little more harshly. It's the same thing with Jace. Jace is your fifth guard on this team this year.
Probably gonna spend some time in the G League.
Yeah, I think that's a great role for Jace Richardson, especially as he learns. The big thing with size is learning how to play with it, like learning to play with physicality through physicality of the NBA game. And so not forcing him into that right away, I think will be big for Jace Richardson. And so again, for me, I could make a strong argument that I wish they would have taken Liam McNeely, right?
Sure.
Because we're always talking about 3-point shooting. That's more of a wing player. You add that to the room, and that would have been exciting for me. I'm not going to throw my hands up and freak out about it. That's probably where I would have went based on my board and how I feel about those players. But I don't think this is oh my gosh, this was a reach or something like that. That's definitely not the case.
That makes sense. And just so it's clear, I'm excited about Jace. I think he's going to be a good player for the Magic, and it'd be awesome if he turned into, even what Cole was like. That at pick 25, you just want someone that's that you can throw in a rotation and trust, in my opinion. And if he can be that, that's great. And he seems like he's got a high IQ, on how he processes the game, and offensively, his shot is there. You need someone to shoot the ball on and off, and he can do that. Which, hey, sign me up for more shooting on the Orlando Magic. Let's go. Noah Penda. I already call him Panda Man. I have no idea if that's actual nickname, but it's kind of what comes out of my mouth often. Hopefully he's not offended by that. But Noah Penda, the Magic with this, they have picks late in the second round. They use those and I think an additional future to trade up to pick 32 to get Noah Penda. So this is someone they were clearly targeting, someone they possibly would have taken with pick 25 if he was available. At least that's what they said. But, just give me your thoughts on Noah Penda. I'm not even going to give any of mine. I just want to hear your thoughts on the selection, how you think his skill set can work within the Magic. Is he someone that can even be a rotation player at some point? When I'm looking at someone like Noah Penda, I'm just like, can you be good enough at some point to replace a higher end contract at some point in time down the line, right? So what did you think about Noah Penda?
I had Noah Penda in my top 30 as a first round pick tier. So I think this is great value to get him where they got him. There were a couple guys left on the board to start day 2 of the draft. Sheer Fleming went right before Penda. That was a guy I would have taken in the first round. Noah Penda obviously was another one. So I think it's great value for Orlando. Let's see. Mendes ball mover. Sounds like something Orlando likes.
Yeah.
Literally my next line of notes. Tremendous off-ball mover. Sounds like something the Orlando Magic really value and like. I will admit I'm a little lower on Noah Penda's defense than others.
Okay.
Sam Vecini, my co-host, or the host, he is Game Theory. I'm his co-host, whatever you want to say. Like, he's really high on his defense. Like, I think a lot of people that liked Penda, it was like the defensive disruption numbers and those type of things. I'm not as high on the defense. I think it'll be a positive, but I don't think it's going to be as impactful as maybe others think.
Why is that? If you don't mind.
Yeah, so go back to my notes here.
I'm sorry, I'm asking you to dig deep.
No. Yeah. So like there were times I thought the disruption was good. The athleticism isn't crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
I do think that he had real understanding of off-ball schemes and rotations. He communicated those type of things. But I didn't think like the point of attack defense was quite what
That's
maybe
fair.
others thought.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
And here's the other thing. I'm notorious for not valuing defensive disruption enough. Like we worked through this on Game Theory with the Dyson Daniels Defensive Player of the Year, all defense stuff. And so here's what I will give him.
Just so you understand what I heard, it sounds like you are very high on him as a player defensively, just not as high as some other people are.
Correct. Like that's the thing. Like I think he's going to be a good defender. It's not like Noah Penda is going to be a negative defender.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying neutral. It just a lot of times, when you ask somebody about a prospect, the first thing they say is usually like the pitch, right? The sell, the elite skill. I feel like a lot of times people would pitch to me the defense first. And I'm like, I don't know that that's it for like,
sure.
It wasn't that high level for me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it great.
Yes. But I will say this, his physical build is something you need in the NBA. And like his archetype of player is something I love. And so again, to be clear, I had him in my top 30. I had him at 27 on my board. So this is a player I like. It's just like, I don't know that he's switching out and guarding all these quick perimeter players and stuff like that. I think he's a 4 that's going to do a good job guarding second unit 4s and is going to be a communicator, give you some off-ball disruption, rebound the ball, be able to grab and go. He can throw passes. He can cut. He can do all of those things. Offensively, I worry about his finishing and I worry about his 3-point shooting. Like that's where, because he isn't a like uber athlete or anything like that. So I think that around the rim could be a little bit of a struggle, but I love this where they were able to get him. And I think this is a very important archetype for teams to have. So if you tell me that like my sell for him was rotational forward, like that's what I wrote for him for his archetype. If you tell me he's the Magic's, backup 4 a year or 2 from now, I would totally believe it.
Kind of stepping in like the JI role if they're thinking his contract's too expensive, they move him away or he gets injured. Yeah.
100%. And listen, if he figures out the jumper, like, I mean, I don't know that, like he's not going to, unseat Paolo Franz in the, starting unit, but like he's going to be a really good rotational forward, at that point. So
yeah, that makes sense. I want to ask you a question, and if you can answer it, cool. If not, like that's okay too. Do you think when you look at these young players that the Magic have, Penda, Richardson, say what you want about Jet, Tristan da Silva, Do you think, particularly, but mostly the rookies that we just drafted, do you think the Magic's development system and the environment that they are in and the style of play that they're in is is the right type of environment for them to get better in their weaknesses at, like the areas that we have question, right? So it's like the reason why I asked that is like you just said if Penda can get his shot down.
Yeah.
Well, the Magic haven't been a good shooting team in a
Sure.
very long time, and they haven't shown to really prove that they can help players with their shots, right? I'm hoping some of that has changed with some of the shifts that they've done on the coaching staff this summer. Outside of that, I just wonder like about the environment, because we always talk about like a developing environment, right?
Sure.
Golden State tried to thread the line with two things at once, and I don't think the Magic are really trying to do that just yet, but that wasn't an environment that was great for player development. Do you think the Magic, 2 years ago, the Pistons, right, under Monty Williams, like that was not a great environment for player development, if I'm just being honest, at least from
No.
Charlotte Hornets, they have not been a great environment for Pelicans, Do you think the Magic can help these players at least somewhat address the concerns that you or others might have as players to be a rotation player?
So like my immediate thought is like Jace would be good for that because like he has the shooting and those type of things.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like the toughness, the physicality, the defense, all of that, the infrastructure of what Orlando has. Where like Jace is good defensively, like he already gives great effort on that end, but maybe that's where they could be really good teaching him, coaching him how to do those things. With Penda, it's like, okay, I think they will get the most out of his defense, whether I'm right on him being good on defense or others are right about him being great on defense. I think he will fit really well in terms of the off-ball cutting and the ball moving. But I can understand some question. Like this would go to the Liam McNeely thing, right? Like you bring in Liam McNeely where it's like, hey, maybe we don't develop shooters, but he knocks down shots and he already moves the ball and cuts. We're going to make him the best he can be defensively because we develop that really well. And we really turn guys into good defenders. So I think you can make that argument. But in general, I don't look at Orlando as like, no, young players go there and don't develop outside of, I suppose it's fair to say that about the shooting, right? Because even the two stars haven't quite got there, in terms of that. And what Suggs was awesome
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and then was struggling a little bit before his season ended last year. So I think that might be fair to have some questions around that specific aspect of it.
I've looked at Orlando as not like a bad development location, but like, when you look at some of the more raw skilled players that they've brought in, Mo Bamba, RJ Hampton, Anthony Black to an extent, there's someone else that I'm missing. It just seems like sometimes they have a harder time with that Jet Howard, even like pretty raw player. It just seems like they have a harder time with those types of players. And granted, maybe they were never going to make it in the league in the first place with some of the guys that I've already mentioned, like RJ Hampton. He was picked 25 for the Nuggets. Mo Bamba. Not everyone makes it, right? So maybe they were going to not make it regardless of where they went. But ever since I've kind of seen that trend of these more like lengthy, raw players not really working out for the Magic, it's made me question, maybe they just don't know how to develop those types of players in a way that's going to get the best out of them, which is fine. Not every player is going to situation is so important for so many players to reach their ceiling and just be successful in this league. Well, Bryce, we've talked longer than we planned, and I really appreciate you not just hanging up the phone like 20 minutes ago.
No, of course not.
Again, shouting out your Substack, one of the best ones that I've seen and read. Magic fans, if you're listening to this, there's some good Piston stuff, but there's plenty of stuff if you want to go back and read any of the coverage that Bryce did during the draft. He's got some phenomenal breakdowns of Noah Penda's was one that I read. I did read Jace's as well, both phenomenal. Obviously you can listen to him on the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vincini. Bryce, let everyone know where they can find you if I didn't already mention it.
Yeah, at Motor City Hoops on Twitter, Blue Sky. You mentioned the Substack. There is a Noah Penda video breakdown over there. You can go check that out. Yeah, we do the Pistons podcast. Probably not something super interested for Magic fans, but definitely check out Game Theory. Sam and I go live all the time on YouTube. You can subscribe over there. And we talk NBA, we'll be general NBA, then we'll start mixing in NBA draft when the time comes. So, or if you're just listening on Apple, Spotify, whatever, we're obviously on there as well. And I appreciate Steven, you having me on. I had a lot of fun doing this. I told my wife, she goes, well, how long do you think? He said 30 to 45 minutes. So it's definitely going to be an hour because I talk a lot. So.
I appreciate it. Well, we're right at that 60-minute mark. And I appreciate your time. Tell your wife, thank you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. Thanks again, Bryce. Have a good one.
Yes. Yep, you too.
All right, that wraps up my awesome conversation with Bryce Simons. Please make sure you go check out his content again. You can check it all out. It's in the description below. I loved having him on the show. Hopefully we can get him on again a little bit later into the season because he was just a blast to talk to. And just, I think you all are going to, I hope you all really enjoyed this conversation because I'd love to have it again with him. Again, shout out to our sponsor, FanDuel. It's a great sporting site for sports gambling. That's where I choose to go to. This sportsbook has a full menu of options for week 1 divisional clash, from the standard spread to total to touchdown score props, first quarter lines, player performance markets. Whether you like the home favorites laying a touchdown or you think Giants can keep it close with Russell Wilson under center, there are plenty of ways to get in on the action this season opener. Go check it out. It's just a great spot where you can go place bets. It's fun, it's safe, and it's where I choose to do my sports betting. One that I like, there's a 7-point spread that reflects Washington's home field advantage and the momentum they had in the last season's playoffs, while accounting for New York's veteran quarterback upgrade and potential to surprise in week number 1. That's a really good bet. There's some good odds there. Go check that out. That's one that I'd be considering hard right now. So shout out FanDuel. Shout out Orlando Magic. It's the off season, but it's almost football season. Let's go.